Hey YouTube, it is me, Turkish Delights, and unfortunately in this video I am going to start with a teensy wincy bit of a negative that has a small amount of hilarity to it. Last night, of course, Dondi said 2 AU servers with a combined total population of 24 players. Where are those loud little monsters from yesterday? This is a reference to someone who made a whole bunch of rackets, talking about the need for more SA and AU servers, to which an SA server was made. Yes, I thought the same thing you guys did when I was originally told that, and we now had the AU server. Unfortunately though, at the time of Dondi posting this, it would have been about 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock in the morning for AU people. So yeah, there wouldn't have been anyone on the AU servers at all. Especially as for places like NA or EU, there'll be lots of people from neighbouring areas that will be joining into those servers. For example, I know for a fact that in the EU servers, you will get a lot of people from the Middle East, as well as some places in Africa that will connect to the EU servers, as that's where they get the better amount of ping. Meaning that even during hours where peak EU times aren't being held, there will still be players joining into those servers, unlike AU. So, this is a small little nitpick from me, but given the fact that I also said last video as well that the reason why a lot of the AU servers don't have the highest player count is because, from what I have heard from some Australian players myself, there is a lot of toxicity going in there, and as well as quite a lot of hackers running rampant. In fact, anyone from the AU community down below, please share some of your horror stories so more people who are not aware can be brought into the fold. And if you guys would like me to cover some of the bizarre clan wars that are going on in the AU side of the AU community, please let me know, as it is a topic I would love to sink my teeth into. Now that that's in the way, there's something else that I want to talk about, which is that everyone's been talking about Ostro and Baryonyx. But there is a dinosaur that I really wanted to talk about for a while, even though the news has already passed. But I want to talk about Spinosaurus. I mean, what a cool dinosaur Spino is. So I pretty much just want to dedicate the rest of this video to just glazing about Spino and going in depth into everything that we know about this playable. So first of all, we're going to start, as we always do, the first source of information we should be using for the art, which is of course the Dev Blogs. Here we have Kissing Kitten, the queen herself. So, while all that bug smashing stuff is happening, the rest of the team is working on other things. Ooh. From knocking out skins for Acrocanthosaurus and Suchomimus to elder-related work on Spinosaurus, Quetzalcoatlus the goat himself, Parasaurophilus. One little thing I want to mention here is this. Given that Baryonyx is the baseline for what's going to be Sucho and Spinosaurus, the fact that it has a defensive stance makes me very excited. Ooh, I am actually genuinely hyped for it. The idea of Barry using its claws and sort of like grappling with you in a more traditional grappling sense, rather than just pin you to the ground. You know, using its claws, swiping at you, pushing you away. You know, you come in with a Serrano trying to charge bite it, and it uses its hands to redirect your bite somewhere else. I think that'd be really cool. And then if you scale that up to Sucho, and then even more to Spino, imagine a Spino just, you know, taking the head of a T-Rex and just pushing it into a wall or a rock, or dragging it deeper into the water so the Rex is out of its element. That would be, oh gosh, I get excited just thinking about it. It's amazing. We've all seen Jurassic Park 3. Come on, Spinosaurus is last here, as it's going to be a lot of work for one animal. My prediction is this: given that Trike and Rex having 3 very distinct growth stages, and sparring, and a whole host of animations during each stage, I reckon Spinosaurus is going to be very similar. It's going to probably have sparring, it's probably going to have very unique beginning, middle, and end stages. And I genuinely can't wait for us to get a little bit more information about Spinosaurus and just sink our teeth into what these stages could be. In fact, let me know down below, what would you like to see for Spinosaurus's juvie, subadult, and adult stages in life? What sort of animals do you think Spinosaurus should be hunting? Please let me know. Next one we have here is the last 2 design features were elongated claws for fishing, general weaponry, and lips. Something purely for variety and aesthetics I wanted to try. Having seen the idea around in Spinosaurus depictions. Very cool. Spinosaurus has got claws. We cannot deny that, can we? And lastly, while tangentially related, baryonyx is well on its way to being animation complete. Just another set or two and we'll be in a nice position. Of the 3 Spinosaurus we have, it's the most agile and flexible, able to do things the others may not excel at in the same fashion. Each should feel unique to one another despite overlapping territories. My hope is that Suchomimus will trade its ability to travel as well as baryonyx in water just for the sheer mass of... Sorry, I got jump scared by my cat. Simply for the huge size of the thing. Whereas Barry will be able to keep its more nimble state in the water, Suchomimus will not. And then Spinosaurus will be a dinosaur that I want to be one where it wins fights close to the water by dragging water animals out of the water and onto land. And it wins fights with land animals by dragging the land animals closer and closer to the water. I think that'd be really, really cool, right? Like, you got baryonyx, which has a lot of stuff to do in the water, as well as being decently competent on land. You got Suchomimus, which is a lot more competent on land, but trades that off for its aquatic capabilities. Of course, I believe Suchomimus should be better in the water compared to the apex dinosaurs, just so we can get away from them. And Spinosaurus, obviously, being the final combination of this. You've learnt the water, you've learnt the land, you now need to master both of them. I really like that. I think that's a really, really cool idea. Let me know what you think as well between the relationship between all 3 Spinosaurids. Do you agree with my sort of takes, or do you have something completely different in mind and you think that I'm a silly who doesn't know anything? So please let me know down below. I'm excited to read what you guys have to say. Here we have now some dev quotes. He says here that Barry will be the sleek one, Sucho the more terrestrial, and Spino the apex. Of course, this is subject to change, of course. We have here Kissing Kitten saying that a crocodilian is built to hold, as I've mentioned. Hold and drown is a tactic. Hold and drown. You're not going to drown a Spinosaurus, and it has a mouth full of teeth too, as well as a pair of fully functional clawed and powerful forearms. Just let it pass by. But if you want to go swinging because you need the dino to be more than it is, and I guess when a Spino shows up and you're solo, ... This is of course talking about the dino versus Spino matchup. The idea of course being that Spino will be a dinosaur that will actually be able to hold its own versus dino and potentially drag it out of the water. Kisson also says the TLDR is if you want adult dino to beat an adult Spinosaurus in water, then that's not likely to happen as there's salt there, for reasons I do not understand. I think she's talking about the salt in the community, that people are not happy that dino can't just, for example, grab Spino or just beat Spino in the water. I think people's fear is that Spinosaurus will just completely overshadow dino, but I don't think that it will. Simply because dino is just simply built for the marine things. It will always be a better swimmer than Spinosaurus, and dino will have the ability to ambush dinosaurs from the water. Spino will not. Spino, unfortunately, has this big old thing on its back, meaning that if it tries to play like a dino, it's not going to be successful. Spino, pretty much, at least in my opinion, is going to be a dinosaur that is just going to be trying to get people who are close to the water or in the water. And Dino is going to have a much better time at just out-competing Spino when it comes to getting kills. At least that's my prediction so far. We'll have to see when it comes out. Kissing Kitten shares a very, very nice render for us here. Saying, again, not to scale, but a posture change makes all the difference. Please don't fight an adult Spinosaurus as an adult Barry unless you've accepted your fate. Here we see just the absolute size difference that Spino... And look how big Spino is. And I love the massive sort of thick tail that we get with Spinosaurus. It really takes in the more recent paleo ideas of the very rudder-like tail that Spinosaurus could have had. I love it personally. We got here Kirsten saying Spino was not likely to lose any effectiveness in deep water. As it stands currently, getting out of its way is a smarter bet. But hey, you guys like PvP, so give it a whirl. Maybe the Spino player is terrible. That always factors in. So obviously, as I said earlier on, my dream would be the fact that in deep water, Dino will be able to get the upper hand by using its better water mobility and movement to catch Spino out. Kisson says, great in the water and fast in the water are not equal terminology. An adult Spino is not likely to keep pace with either of those animals, being Dino and Beppy. So we know for a fact that Spino will not be as fast as Dino or even Beppy in the water. If I had to predict, it would probably be around, maybe at best, sort of like Tenno speed in the water, where Tenno is just slightly faster. And here we get to the concept art. I will have the whole thing on the screen in just a moment, but while I'm talking about it, I will be using this little image here and just moving it around so I can talk more about what we're seeing on the screen. First image here, Got the Dinoclyrus and the Spinosaurus squaring up against each other, which I'm hoping is going to be an absolutely phenomenal fight. Two dinosaurs with big old arms, with claws, just clubbing at each other. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but that one famous boxing match where I believe a Korean guy and a guy from America, I think it was, just immediately in the ring just start punching each other in the face. That's what I want to see with these two Goliaths duking it out over like a tiny bit of mud in the swamp. It's going to be a funny fight for onlookers to see, but I'm sure it's going to be very, very exhilarating. I personally can't wait to see these two behemoths just duke it out in the Isle. Next we have a poor Deinosuchus, unfortunately got a little bit too close to the Spinosaurus that is implementing this hippo walk we see Dondi talk about. The idea of just powering through the bottom of the river until you come across a Deinosuchus. Bear in mind as well, the depth of the water is just enough for the Spino to be hidden and for the Beppies to dive down. This should actually give us a pretty good size range as to what rivers currently in the game Spino could be lurking under. Another interesting thing to note here as well is when we get to this image over here, we see a Spinosaurus breaching against a bunch of Beppies. What this therefore implies is that, similar to this image, the height of the river is going to be enough for Spinosaurus to actually get a very few quick ambushes on Bipes. Either that or maybe this is a slightly smaller Spino. We don't know. It's looking at the scale of the Bipe in this image and the Bipe in this image, I would assume these are both adult Spinosauruses. And here as well, we see a poor Minmi. I'm sorry, Australians, but you just have to hold that L. Minmi did not find a very suitable hiding place for the Spinosaurus, and a very inquisitive looking Suchomiimid digs up our poor little Minmi friend and rolls it over like a ball. But I can't really blame Spinosaurus. I think that if I was an animal that big and I saw a Minmi, I too would just roll it around like a little toy. But it is very, very interesting. Spino using its hands as an interaction with another animal's hiding system being burrowing. We'll have to see with Anki later on in the future if this gets referenced again. Spoiler warning. But I do find that really, really cool. Just being a Minmi hiding in little burrows and just hearing just big kaiju of a dinosaur just roll up on you. I think it's going to be very, very interesting. I actually can't wait for that little dynamic to play out. Going down here, oh look at this, if it isn't a Anki being rolled over by a Spinosaurus. I told you guys, it was a spoiler, but here it is. It's just such a cool piece of artwork right here. Like, Tatwing really knocked it out of the park. I like the idea of the Anki lining up one last shot. That's just going to absolutely punt the Spinosaurus in the face and knock it out. But Spinosaurus being an animal that can actually take on Anki, I find very, very interesting. Especially as if Spinosaurus isn't going to be the fastest dinosaur, and Anki also isn't going to be the fastest dinosaur, it's like a match made in heaven, really, for a rivalry between these two. I think that's very, very interesting. Like, a dinosaur like Anki that just can't really be penetrated by any of the other creatures, versus Spinosaurus that has this very, very unique way of just getting through that armor, just clawing underneath the shell and just flipping him. Look at this poor... succulent even underbelly, just exposed flesh. I reckon maybe a light 45 minutes on an industrial grill, I'm sure the Anki meat would just fall off the bone like a caramelized soup. You just dig it. Beautiful. I love it. I can't imagine dinosaur cuisine, but it's cool. It's just cool. The idea of just Spino using its hands, it's just cool to me. I like it. It's just, I too want to just slap things. Yeah, honestly, I'm not even going to lie to you, Chief. I'm fairly sure this is meant to be a Tynontosaurus. I'm fairly sure. We just see it's just being manhandled. It's just, well, it's clearly dead, right? Let's not beat around the bush. This Tenno is very much, how'd you say? It left the lobby, you know? And, yeah, it's half the man it used to be. But here we see just this Spinosaurus just eating the Tenno, meaning they probably share a location. I don't think this is water here. I think this is actually mud. I think this is a Tenno that got stuck in the mud pool and the Spino just walked over it and just got at the Tenno. Meaning, here's my idea. What if dinosaurs like Spino, being at this size and being aquatic, obviously the Tenno isn't a semi-aquatic dinosaur itself, they're able to have a way of walking over mud far faster than other dinosaurs. And Spino being the biggest of these dinosaurs, it's just one of the best at walking through mud, meaning if you're caught out in mud in the swamps, you'll have to worry about the fact that a Spino could be waiting for you there and just walk out and grab you if they ever do implement that. That the wader mutation also affects your ability to walk through mud. I'd like that a lot. I think that's cool. Just, you're a stego, you're walking through swamps, you go, I'll just take this shortcut through the mud. What's the worst that could happen? Or even you're a stego fighting another carnivore and you go into the mud knowing that you can swing and get an easy hit. And then the Spino comes out. Ooh, it makes you think. Like, this whole swamp environment, like once we start getting these dinosaurs that really utilize the environment to their advantage, I think the game's gonna pop, in my opinion. Like, it's just gonna be so cool. Just, you can go and just, I'm just that excited, right? It's just, I think it's a cool dinosaur. I just really want to see these areas being utilized a lot more. That's about everything in the Spinosaurus concept art. So we're going to move on there. We're going to move on. Now, we also see Spinosaurus in Anki's concept art, where the Anki does indeed just chip a tooth off the Spinosaurus. Just absolutely yoinks that guy off sideways. I love this image. I love how just cool the Anki looks there. The Anki looks cool. Another dinosaur I'm pretty excited for. But I love it. Spinosaurus, just, you can just see the agony in its face, the closed eyes, the arms, so ready to hit the Anki, and it's just, unfortunately, it got decked. We even seen the fact that the jaw sort of bends there. It may even have a broken jaw at the bottom. Very, very cool. I love how absolutely stocky the thigh into tail area is. It's a big, thick boy. Comment down below whether or not you also agree with me, whether or not you like thick dinosaurs. I really, really liked, what was it? Prehistoric Planets. With the very, very chunky T-Rexes and Carnotaurus. I love that. I love chunky dinosaurs. It fits. Spinosaurus here, big boy. And the last section of this video, of course, is looking at some general feedback posts. Here we have Jay saying, please don't get rid of the 250 kilogram prime elder Beppy. It deserves to be peak, please. As I said in my last video, I have a feeling that if we can show enough support for prime elder Beppy to stay at 250 kilograms, Dondi might just bring it back, despite him saying that it will be gone after this horde test. So please go down into general feedback, find Jay's post and give it an upvote. We really, really want to see this giant duck thrive. Next, you see a really, really interesting Dinosaurus chain suggestion by Valiant, a water AI niche. So for these juvenile changes, they give a suggestion to allow the juvie dinos, I believe, to cover the bodies of plants in order to better camouflage in with the surrounding mud, which I think is a really, really cool idea. Water changes. To prevent the abuse of ponds and trike core test puddles, it would be helpful not to just have planned droughts, but also some mechanic that encourages drinking flowing water or that of large bodies. I also agree with this. Either they could have a system where the more you drink out of these small ponds, I believe they're talking about in the savannah area, these small ponds either dry up when they're drunk too much, or be some sort of, how do you say, a system that allows for contagions to spread in water. I think would be very, very hardcore. You needing to visually look at the water and try to notice the signs of whether or not it's contaminated would be very, very interesting. It would make some of these lakes around the side of the map be a lot less enticing than the central river areas. But we'll have to see as well. Let me know if you think that that could be an idea that could be added into the game. I think it would be very cool. I think Halloween events where the zombie infection is spread through contaminated water, that'd be so cool. Actually, I love that. If you guys have ever seen that one episode of Primal with the zombie sauropod, you guys can see where I'm going. It's a very cool idea. I really like that. The next bit of general feedback we got here is from Ali Oxenfree. If anyone knows what song that seems to be referencing, please let me know down below. I really, really want to see if some of you guys had a similar taste in music when you were a teenager as I did. I'm not afraid to admit it. And what they have to say here is I think prime elders and frail elders should be rare, and there should be a normal regular elder as well, just called elder. This is actually a thought that I had before. I wouldn't mind the idea of just the dinosaur just sort of stays the same and then just deteriorates a bit towards the end. I still want the deterioration of stats though. I think that's a very important thing of just getting old and getting weaker is very, very important. And of course we have our top comment from the video released on Saturday. Here we have Forest Guardian TV. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to play the horde test since the Allo update. Keep getting disconnected and losing my dino is making the game unplayable. People have been seeing a lot of issues right now with some of the horde test changes, either with the wiping of dinosaurs due to server configs being updated and server performance, or with people being disconnected from the servers. And obviously I had to give a little shout out towards Orny Megalonyx, who wrote this very rude comments, but it was quite funny. It definitely gave me a chuckle, with 7 upvotes just behind the one from Forest Guardian. But once again, thank you for the support, guys. We'll see what other videos we'll be posting this week. If you have any suggestions, please let me know. I'm more than happy to cover topics that you guys want to hear me talk about, rather than just me just thinking about what I want to talk to you guys about this time. But that'll be all from me, guys, and I'll see you later on in the week. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye. So, while all that bug smashing stuff is happening, the rest of the team is working on other things. Ooh. From knocking out skins for Acrocanthosaurus and Suchomimus to Elder-related work on Spinosaurus, Quetzalcoatlus the goat himself, and Parasaurolophus. What is this word? Let me break it down for you more.
Parasaurolophus.
Parasaurophilus. 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 Thank you. Thank you, random guy on the internet, but teach me how to say Parasaurophilus. Gosh, that's embarrassing. Moving on to the next part of the dev blog. Gosh, we already spent too much time here.